All right, guys. Well, we got the one and only Brandon Duncan here today. I'm going to let him introduce himself, but before he does that, I don't know if he knows this, but I do want to share it with everyone. This man that's sitting right here, Brandon Duncan, is one of the main reasons I got into real estate. It's my fraternity brother, Kappa Alpha Psi, and I talked to him about real estate before I got into it, and he really made it seem like it was something that I could do and that would work for me and would help create a good living for me because he was already doing it at a high level. And I just needed someone to give me that reassurance that it would work. And he was somebody in my corner that told me about it and would let me know that it would work as long as I did X, Y, and Z. And 3 years later, I'm still here. So just want to introduce Brandon Duncan. I'll let him take it away. Tell us a little bit about yourself, brother.
Well, you already said Brandon Duncan. I have been in the business now going on about 10 years. So I've been doing this for a little while. I'm in the Raleigh, Durham market, do some work in Greensboro, Winston, a little work up there as well. Have a team, just me and another agent that's on my team right now. And we are currently at Compass Real Estate, but our team name is Duncan Prime Realty. And yeah, so I'm here.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Oh, well, thanks for joining me, man. Um, I guess we'll just get right into the interview. But how did you end up in real estate? I guess.
Well, it's funny. It's kind of similar story that you had. It was another one of our fraternity brothers that was doing real estate at a high level, and he was like, "Hey, you'll be really good at this." And I tell everyone, I was like, I just couldn't wrap my head around working for strictly commission at the time. It was just like, no, there's no way I'm gonna do this. But I mean, I was interested in it, and it kept coming back. It's like, okay, this is something that like I can't get away from. Like, oh, it's still in the back of my head. So once we graduated, I was working at Verizon. I went and took the real estate class, got my license, and after I got my license, like just kind of dived into it more, just doing research, watching a ton of videos, just like always, it was just real estate, real estate, real estate.
Yeah,
Uh, Quit Verizon, and I'm here now.
I like it. Well,
So I
shoot.
jumped in. It was pretty good when I jumped in. I had a few people, which was really good, that went to that was in college with us, that reached out. They were looking about their first home. So that's how I got started. Like the first month that I went full time, I literally had someone looking to buy a home. And in turn, they turned around and sent me, two other people that were looking to buy within a couple months. So it kind of just took off from there. So it was actually really, really good.
You hit the ground running, man. That's awesome. How long did it take for you to close your first deal once you got started?
It's like 45 days.
Shoot. It took me I got licensed middle of December, and then my first deal closed around the middle of March. So you got me beat, man. It's
Well,
all
now
good.
if you're talking about like actual license, I was
Yeah.
licensed in May, and I didn't sell that one until December. But I wasn't doing like any mark, because I was still working full time at Verizon. So I
Yeah.
had my license, and I was just taking training classes. So it was like
Yeah.
no one really knew I was a real estate agent or anything like that. And so when I quit Verizon, I think October, and then that the same week I actually quit Verizon, that's when he reached out, which was it was so random. That's when I really started telling people like, hey, I'm in the real estate now, this is my new thing. And he reached out, and then we closed in that November on his home.
So, question about that. I wrote it down because I didn't want to forget. You said you quit Verizon. I know a lot of people who might see this, something that I dealt with and people I talk to all the time. They have a full-time job and they're not sure about quitting it and going into real estate full time. What was your thought process, or what made it click for you where it's like, look, I'm quitting Verizon, I'm going into real estate full time?
It was kind of like one of those things, like if I don't do it now, I never will.
Yeah.
And so I had money saved up. So I had, just in case it didn't go well, I had some money saved up. But it really came down to, if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it.
Yeah.
So it was like, at that point, I was like, okay, let me take this risk and, bet on myself and see how it turns out. Worst case scenario, I would just have to go back and get another job. But I was like, I feel like I can bet on myself and I'll win. So I'm still here.
Hey, 10 years later, still here, man. I like
That's
it.
right. So I'm still here.
So speaking of still being here, 10 years ago, that's a complete decade. What is your biggest challenge right now as a real estate broker?
Mainly right now it's just time, getting like time for, family stuff. Um, just time, really. It's like, okay, what, and it's like you time block, you try to set your schedule up, but then you also have to, be prepared for the curveballs that come up. So really right now it's just time and, being a little more efficient than I am right now.
Yeah. And then, so I know you mentioned Tom. I know you personally, so I know you're a husband, you're a dad. How do you, and a businessman, how do you divide your time between family and business?
Well, that's the hard part is because with real estate, you're always on. So you're like, you say, okay, I'm not going to do anything today, but you might get a message and then it's like, okay, I need to respond to this. And so it's kind of like when you get home, it's like, okay, at home is home time. So now I try not to respond or answer the calls. Or if I do, it's when, the family's not around, I'm not entertaining or, with my son or with my wife. I try not to, respond. And I'll just say, hey, I'll get to this tomorrow. Because once you learn a lot of things that come up, and I've learned this too, a lot of clients is like a lot of times they just want to talk
Yeah.
and just make sure that someone hears what they're saying. And it's like it's not something that you really can do at that moment to change the outcome of the transaction. Because most of everything in real estate after 5 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing open. There's nothing like far as mortgage, the bank, the county, like all the major stuff that could go wrong unless the house is burning down in the transaction. You really can't do much after that time period, but talk to them and kind of, brainstorm about what to do next or, what's the best plan of action. So, but once you realize that you're like, you know what, this could wait till tomorrow. So that's the thing I'm getting to now. It's like, okay, this conversation can wait till the morning. But sometimes you do want to have it to get it out of the way. So it's kind of like, do I take it? So what I do now is I take a lot of calls on my way home because I have about a 30-minute ride in this traffic. So I'll call people back during that time. So it's like, okay, I can have these calls while I'm driving, and that way I don't have to do them when I get home.
Dude, I like it, man. I know for me, I used to, and this was when I first started, I thought I had to take every single call, no matter what time, because I was afraid. I guess I kind of had like commission breath. So I was like afraid I was gonna lose a deal. I was like really had to do it. And now I know my wife doesn't like when I do this because she's like, probably my words, not hers, but she thinks it's like super ruthless. But like at a specific time, I cut it off. I'll see your text, but I'm not gonna respond till the next day. So because same thing is like, if a house is on fire, call the fire department, not me. I know it might sound bad or ruthless, but it is what it is. So like I really try to protect that family time because if like say if my wife's mad at me or things aren't right at home, then I'm gonna be thinking about that when I'm with my client and I'm not able to serve them at the level they deserve. So I've been more and more ruthless about it. I always tweak things to get better myself, but that's just something I'm thinking about as far as my family time goes. It's just like certain
It's not
time.
ruthless. It's just
Yeah,
more intentional, I would say. You're
that's a better way. Yeah.
more, yeah, you're more intentional about your time. It's like I'm not going to respond. And I don't do it 100%. Like sometimes if I'm really like, if I'm at home, I'm not doing anything, I still might respond. Like, it's like, I can respond. Now I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
But, you open yourself up to that rabbit hole of responses keep going. And then next thing you know, it's a 20 minutes later, you're still talking to that same person, responding to messages. And it's like, I should have never said anything.
Exactly.
So that's the thing that I'm working on now. It's like, okay, how can I plan my day to where I can come to work, be efficient, do what I need to do to make sure the business is still growing and also be present, when I'm at home, because sometimes you can be at home, but you're not present. You're just like, you're still in work brain and you're there, but you're not really, really, really there. And
Yeah.
so I'm guilty of that at times where I'm like, I'm around, but I don't know what's really going on at home because I'm looking at something from work or, trying to solve a problem that really doesn't need my attention at that moment.
No, that makes sense. That's I'm guilty of that as well, especially the not being present. And that's something as I get older, I realize time passes fast. We can't ever get the time back. So I'm trying to really be intentional about, I guess, being present and in the moment. I'm still not there yet, but I'm
Yeah.
working on it. I guess another question we talked about, kind of what you do on your way home when you're ending the day. So going into the nighttime, what keeps you awake at night when you can't fall asleep?
Mm, I don't know. Recently, I've been sleeping good, so I don't know.
Good life. I
No,
like it, man.
I've been going to bed pretty early recently because I get tired now. It's like maybe I'm getting older, but
Nah, you're not old, man. I thought you were
but
25.
normally it just be like I'm thinking about what I got to get done, or you know, uh, and it's just random. It's like usually like what I got to get done for the next day. What plans I have coming up. What haven't I like? What I didn't finish. Like where can I move this to on my schedule? So that's really if I'm up, that's usually what I'm doing. Or if
Yeah.
I'm up like that, I may try to get some work in, like admin work or just stuff that I need to get done that is low level task stuff
Yeah.
that I'm up doing. And then it's just that's really, I mean, now that I think about it, that's really mainly that will keep me up if I am up at night doing stuff.
Yeah.
Is that, because sometimes if you wake up, like, say for instance, I woke up the other night and I had fell asleep, but then I woke up and I was just up at that point. I was like, oh, so I started doing a little bit of work and just, having stuff planned out for the next day just because I was up.
Yeah.
Um, but normally I try to get my rest now just because I'm tired by the time I get home.
Well, since you mentioned that, and then I'll segue to something else, but you were talking about you're being up and then like you woke up and you started knocking out work. That is one benefit that I found out about real estate that I really enjoy is, yes, I might put in a lot of hours. Sometimes more than 40 hours, sometimes less. That 40 hours doesn't really mean anything in the entrepreneur world in my mind, but it's kind of like I'm able to work whenever I want to work or need to work. So I can work at from 12 to 3 and then insert that free time in my next day in the middle of the day. So I thought that was something kind of cool about real estate that I never thought about until recently, which is kind of
Yeah, I
neat.
mean, it is cool. You definitely could do that. I wouldn't say you want to make it a habit because then you're missing out on your rest and then
Hmm.
it'll catch up to you. So you're out, you may have stayed up and try to replace time and you're wanting to go, to a kid's game or something. You might be at that game really, really tired. So
Sleeping at the game.
you're not the same person. You're just like, I'm here, but
Not
you're tired.
present.
Yeah, you're tired, you're wore out. So it's kind
Yeah.
of like you still just like, you need to get your rest. And so we have, our son's on schedule now. So like by 8 o'clock, he's asleep. So I know like if I sit down on the couch at 8, I might fall asleep too. So like
Yeah.
I'm resting on his schedule at this point at home. Recently, for real, like I would say the past 4 months or so, I've been sleeping early. So it's like, which is weird because I used to stay up like that and work late. And
Yeah.
now it's just like I can't do it if I try to. So it's just like so.
Hey, no want that.
But that's the thing you always want, and then it's like just a health thing. Like if you're, and I know you get up early, so if
Yeah.
you're working from 12 to 3, you're getting 2 hours of sleep because you're like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning working out. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
it's gonna wear you out early. You'll burn out doing that.
No, 100%. I've been trying to go to bed earlier. Like last night, it did not work out. Like I was trying to go to bed at 9, so I could wake up at 4. But for some reason, I just could not fall asleep. I ended up falling asleep around like 11 o'clock at night. Ended up waking up at 4. Still got my workout in, but it was basically, long story short, I'll probably pass out early tonight. Put it that way. Your boy's tired a little bit.
Right. So
Um,
you'll catch up with like I drink a lot of coffee, caffeine too, to try to, stay up and that's just even when I sleep late, I still it's just a habit now to drink it, which I'm trying to cut back on how much coffee and caffeine I drink. But I bet you're probably living off of it.
Man, I love coffee. I do like Well, I do a pre-workout a day when I work out, and then one coffee, just because it just makes me feel, it's like a hug in a cup of coffee. So that's why I drink it, man. I love it. And then I guess segue to the next question, man. What effect has real estate had on your family from like when you were versus like Verizon to 10 years in, when you look back, like what's one of the biggest things real estate has helped your family to accomplish?
Now, believe it or not, it's like a good and a bad thing, because the time has been great that I've gotten back from working in retail. Because retail, holiday season, you can't do anything. And so now, even with the time with real estate, it's like, okay, you still have to be on, but you can work, you can work remotely. So like I can work, if I'm on vacation, I can have someone here filling in for me and still be able to take a vacation, enjoy vacation. Where, at Verizon back then, it was like holiday season, you didn't leave because that's when you made your most of your money, because you work on commission as well too. So it was like you couldn't get off work, you couldn't go anywhere. So like all the family functions, like you couldn't do anything out of town. So you were just back home. So that was one of the things that kind of pushed me away too. Is like I can't get off for anything. And I had the personality where I like to do my own thing. So it was like it worked out to be better for me mentally to work for myself.
Do what I want to do.
Yeah, you do what I want to do. So that's the one thing I've gained, like with real estate. And then back then, when with me and my wife, it was just us two. So it was kind of like we're still young. She was in school, so she was going through med school and stuff like that, pharmacy school. So she was busy. So like it was like, okay, this is the perfect time for me to, if I'm going to do real estate, to be busy and not really, me and her still spend time, but I could be busier then because she was busy, really busy at the same time. So we both were busy at the same time.
Makes sense.
So, but now it's kind of like it's going to where it's like, okay, we're getting older. We have a kid now. It's kind of like, okay, let's peel that back and see where I can be more efficient. So, a few months ago, I hired a VA. So I have a VA now that works for me. So they're helping me, take some of the stuff off my plate as we train them. And I'm trying to get to the point to train them to do basically replace me in like the small day-to-day stuff outside of, generating new business and talking to clients and stuff like that.
Yeah. Shoot. I've heard people talk about VAs. I need to use them. I actually had a conversation with somebody about VAs the other day, but it's just I get nervous just because I don't know enough about them. But I hear they're good.
If you have a good one, it's worth every penny. Just because it's like things that you think like, I gotta get this done, I gotta get this done. You can literally say, hey, I need this done and taken care of, and it's done. And you're not, because when you're in real estate, you pretty much wear all the hats if you don't have a team. So you're everything. So that VA takes a lot of those things off. Like it takes, like my VA does the marketing now. They go in and clean up the CRM. They do some of the email marketing. They respond to some clients. So it's like they do, he does a lot of different things that I knew I had to do that now I'm not worried about. Like I don't even think about them now because I know that they're done. I go back and look, they're done. So, and then like now I'm just kind of just checking off on things like, okay, that looks good. Let's go with that. Or no, let's change this. So that's what I'm doing with a lot of stuff now. But we're still training, and it's still a process because there's a lot that goes into it.
Shoot, that's what I feel like I need that, because to your point, it is a lot of hats. And what I'm working on now is letting go of some tasks, because I'm realizing I was at a training and it was I forgot the lady's name. So whoever's listening, don't kill me, but it was Grant Cardone's wife. And she was saying that you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And that's really something I'm trying to take to heart. Like I can do anything I want, but there are some things I have to let go because I have to prioritize certain things. So that's just something I'm working on myself, man.
Yeah, I mean, everybody does. I mean, especially when it's your business. Like I was like that with even hiring people. Like, I was like, they can't do it as well as I can. So it's kind of like I don't want to give them potential business, and they don't succeed or follow through with it the way I would. But at the same time, it's kind of like you lose more than you gain by doing it, because you're like, I can't service these people or help these people to the level that they need just because I don't have time. And then at that point, the service that you give starts to get lacking and you're not doing the best that you can do. You mean you're doing the best that you can do, but they're not seeing that because you're so busy.
Yeah.
So you don't have the time to give that person or to give their situation. So
Which that's huge because like the majority of my business is referral based. So it's like I have a certain, I guess is the right word, but a certain reputation to uphold. And if I start taking on too much, then my standard lowers. And then people will be like, oh, you refer Joel, he's not doing a great job. And then those referrals become less and less.
Right. And it's not because you're not intentionally, it's just you're human and you can't be everywhere all the time.
Yeah. No, I mean, that makes sense to me, man.
So
And then since we're talking about, I guess that, what is your biggest failure or worst moment in your career? Like, for example, for me, and I haven't told anybody this, well, I've told people this, but not on YouTube. I was showing a property to someone and I ended up, it was like when COVID was first coming out. So I think I had COVID, but I didn't know that then. I was showing the property to them, ended up passing out while I was showing the property, hit my head on the ground. When I was passed out, threw up, and then they had the ambulance come. But I was like, no, I don't need the ambulance. I drove home. But that was the worst moment for sure.
That was those late nights catching up with you.
Right.
And I only say that because I know you.
It was so bad.
Oh man. I would say my worst experience is early on. It was just me not knowing the contracts as well as I needed to. I told the client that the washer and dryer stays and everything stays, and it didn't. So that first, probably like my third commission check, I had to buy washers and dryers.
I bought a fridge before.
Because I was like, I told them it stayed. So we went through the walkthrough and they were gone. And I was just like, oh. And I went back and read the contracts, everything. It was nowhere where I told them that wrote it in the contract. So I was just like, I gotta eat that cost. But they got a nice new set of washer and dryer. So that was probably my worst moment in real estate.
Well, you probably won't make that mistake ever again. So,
no, I've never done it again. So now it's like, no, I've never done it again. I've never
had to try. Where's it at?
Right.
No, I just know.
That was the bad. I haven't had everything else. I mean, you see everything under the sun in real estate. And a lot of times it's just it can be sometimes the people you're dealing with and then circumstances that you can't control. But that was something I could control and I just blew it.
Yeah. Nah. I mean, yeah, like I said, I bought a fridge before. I don't plan on buying another one, but no
more appliances for me.
No, I'm good.
Unless they're my own.
Exactly. Or I mean, a Christmas present to me. I'll take that too. But no, I'm messing with you. All right. So, what motivates? Because we talked about the morning a lot, but what motivates you to get up in the morning and do what you do?
Right now, my family, little man, my wife. It's just like you don't want to fail them, and it's all on me. So it's like if it doesn't work out, it's because I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
Yeah,
so that's how I look at it. So it's like that's enough motivation for me to get up every morning and say, okay, let me get what I have to get done for the day, and keep going. And I always say too, you'll have your days where you don't want to do much. That's one thing in real estate you can get away with sometimes, where you can kind of take let me take a lax day, but you also want to make sure that you're on it and you're working, because the money you make is just a reflection of what you do, like how hard you're working.
No, I agree with that. Like it's a reflection of your habits, your standards, your proximity, things like that. But to your point, what you said, your family is what, keeps you going, what motivates you in the morning. That's something that motivates me because, sometimes in real estate, at least when I first got started, I had to do things that were scary or uncomfortable, which was like lead generating and reaching out to people. In the beginning, that was really uncomfortable. Now it's a little bit easier. But my family motivated me because in my mind, I was like, if I don't lead generate, I'm not going to do any deals or not going to help anybody buy a home, not going to do any deals, not get paid. And it's like, I can't go to my kids and say, hey, I'm sorry, you don't have food on your table because I was scared to go talk to people.
Right.
Like that is 100% unacceptable to me as an adult, as a father. So I was like, I got to get past whatever scares me and do this for my family. And when I had that mentality, things really started, clicking. And as I did things more, I wasn't as scared anymore. But again, to that point, my family is something that just motivates me every morning to get up for sure, man.
Yeah,
It really does.
that's great. I mean,
It
that's
does.
definitely a way to look at it. It's like, if I don't work, they don't eat.
Bro, 100%. 100%.
So it'll motivate you enough because it's like you don't want to be a failure, and your kids are looking at you. They're watching everything you do. They're listening to everything you say. So it's like, okay, let me be an example of like this is how you go, work for what you want.
And then to that point about example, a lot of people kind of like you're talking about that being that example for your kids. A lot of the people that I find myself around are always talking about legacy, and that's kind of kind of what it leads to. Like my kids are watching, so if not me doing X, Y, and Z, then I'm just leaving it for them to do it or someone else. And it's like, no, I want to be that person that changes our lineage, and really puts forth a really good legacy for our family. So that's it's really a big driver for me, man, for sure.
That's good.
Um, and so I guess a few more questions and I'm done with you, but I don't want to hold you too much longer. But I'm hoping that some new agents watch this. So what do you wish you had known when you were first starting real estate?
That is not like HGTV.
Thanks. 100%.
You learn that early on that all the stuff you see on TV, social media, is nothing like that. Is real estate is hard yet simple. And I tell people all the time, it's hard. The fact that you have to go in and do the work and do it consistently. It's simple because it's not hard work. It's just some repetitive things you do. And if I was starting out, which I didn't do when I started, if I was starting out today, I would certainly join a team just because a team has more structure. You'll learn faster. You're around people who've been in the business who are successful. And that is a very good driver to help you get your business up and going. And, if you stay on the team, great. If you do want to lead a team, you have that option, but you will learn a lot. And I kind of tried to bootstrap it myself just because I wanted to do it myself. But if I was to go back, I would have joined the team instead of doing it myself. Because I probably would have, which I mean, I can say that now because it's like, okay, but I did get a good start as far as getting business going earlier. But it still was like, I think that team atmosphere would have helped me a lot more than just doing it by myself.
So that's a good point. I never thought about that. And I have a follow-up question. And the only reason I'm asking you this is just because you really guided me in the right direction when I started real estate. And I 100% appreciate you for that. I know there's different teams, and I just have to say it. There's some bad teams and there's some good teams. If I was a brand new agent, what would you tell me to look for in a team if I wanted to join one?
Look for the track record, look at the turnover. Like they're just, agents coming and going each and every month, day, Also, when you sit down and you talk with them, just, look what their core values are, like what kind of systems they have in place. I mean, even though you may not know exactly what you're looking for in systems, but you also don't want someone who's like completely desperate to hire anyone. And a lot of good teams will go through a process before they bring you into their team, to make sure you're a good fit. So it's kind of like you just got to do your due diligence to make sure, like, okay, and talk to other people on the team just to see how they feel about the team. Like if there's, any kind of like lurking animosity, or if it's a good team where everyone gets along, there's a lot of business to go around. So those types of things. And if they're giving you a lot of training, like you want a team that offers a lot of training.
I like that. That's that's why I went to my first firm because of the training that you had told me they had, which was phenomenal. And then what is a book that you'd recommend? It doesn't have to be real estate related, but just in general, what's a book that you read that you're like, man, I love this one?
Let's see. The recent one I've read was The Talking Animals of the Farm. I'm just playing.
I was about to write it down, man. I was like, I've never heard of that.
I was
I was
it was one of my son's books that I read to him. I was like, it's a good book.
I like it. I'll read it to my kids, man.
Oh my God. That was too funny. Look at me getting off on a tangent.
Hey, no wrong with that.
The last book I read, and I'm not even gonna say read, I actually listened to it, was it the Sell It Like Sirhan?
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that was a really good book, just to see like marketing, just listening to like the different in and outs of real estate, how he built his business and how to be a really good agent. So that's a good book. That one and the other book by Frederick Sale, that one was really good too. I like that.
I don't think I've heard of that one.
No, he came out with his book a while back.
Oh, the Frederick who's in the same
from
show. Yeah, that was a good one. I did read that.
Frederick Eklund.
Yeah.
Yeah,
his
book was really good. I'm trying to think. There was one other book I read recently. I can't think of the name off the top of my head though. It's pretty good. Was it The Go Giver?
Go Giver.
Yeah,
I've heard
The
of
Go Giver was really good as well. It's not a hard read either. And like I said, I usually, if I'm not talking, I don't read. I listen, like do the audiobooks and stuff. So like if you're in the car, it's something that you can listen to and have a good kill some time, still listen to music. So I'll switch it up between music, podcast, and the audiobook if someone recommends it.
I usually listen
I need to read more though. So I do need more books in my life. I need to listen to more books.
I mean, I love it. I usually listen to it at like 1.5 speed just to like get it done. But
yeah.
I'm an Audible guy, 100%.
Yeah, that's me too. Like I like to listen to them. So because if I sit down and just read it, I probably will stop halfway through and just even if the book's good, it's just better for me to listen to it.
That's how I am. I got kids at home. I got to do something. So, and then last big question for you. And I got some really small, quick ones that are going to take a really short time. But what legacy are you looking to leave behind or live out?
I haven't thought about it too deeply, but if I just off the top of my head, just to be that, have something for my son to where he could take and be proud of, like as far as the name of the company, just the way I've done business and the relationships that I've built, that he could take and build on those. So that's probably, just expanding upon what I've done here to where if he were to say my name, I'm like, oh, that's a good person, that's a good guy, and he does really good work. So I know his son will be the same possibly, but that might be what I would say. I haven't put a whole lot of thought into it.
Well, shoot. I mean, if he says your name to me, he's good in my book. I'll tell you that at least.
So that's the type, legacy you want to have.
Oh yeah. Well, shoot, man. Last thing, these questions, there's rules to them. You can't take more than 3 seconds to think about it or answer it because it's a rapid fire question.
Okay.
All right. Buy and hold or fix and flip?
Buy and hold.
Mortgage broker or traditional bank?
Mortgage broker.
Rather work on a team or solo agent?
Team.
Dave Ramsey or Robert Kiyosaki?
Robert Kiyosaki.
East Coast or West Coast?
West Coast.
Dogs or cats?
Dog.
Pay for a coach or find a mentor?
Pay for a coach.
Rap or rock?
Rap.
Meat eater or vegetarian?
Meat eater.
Movies or TV shows?
Movies.
Early riser or night owl?
Early riser.
And last one, boxers or briefs?
Briefs.
I like it. All right, man. Well, Brandon Duncan, I appreciate it. It is, man. Gotta have some fun at the end, man. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you being up here. I really appreciate your time. One, I know time you can never get back, so I really value that and I appreciate it. And I also appreciate your mentorship and your guidance when I first got into real estate. And I don't know if you've done this intentionally, but you've always been there helping me out, checking in on me throughout my whole journey so far. So I just want to say I sincerely appreciate that, man. And
you're welcome. I want to see you succeed. So
appreciate it, man. I want to see you succeed too.
I
Well,
can
you
help,
are succeeding.
if I can help, I always will, help if I can.
Oh yeah. Oh, last thing, real quick. I know you're based in like Raleigh, Durham. If I am a buyer or a seller and I'm like, man, I like this Brandon Duncan guy and I want to sell or buy a house, or if I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm a real estate agent, I like Compass Real Estate, but I want to learn more about it, because I think that's where you're at now. How do I get in contact with you?
Well, you can reach me on my email, which is brandon@duncanprimerealty.com. You can call or text me at 919-808-2001. And you can check out our website too at www.duncanprimerealty.com. So a few ways to get in contact with me. If you reach out, I will definitely respond. So
Awesome. Well, guys, again, Brandon Duncan, he does real estate at an extremely high level, obviously for 10 years. So if you're in the market, Raleigh Durham area, he can also probably hook you up with somebody good in another area as well.
Anywhere in the
Reach out to the
United
man.
States and the
Exactly.
world, just let me know and I can help.
And he can always send you to me in Charlotte. So reach out to him first and he'll send you to me if you're looking at Charlotte.
That's right. That's right.
All right, Brandon, I appreciate you, brother. And you have a blessed day, man.
All right. You too, man. You take care.
Yes, sir. Thanks again.
All right, no problem.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye.